Hey guys, thanks for checking the video out. I want to take a look at some Slate Digital stuff here. Now, I've been a Slate Digital user for, loads of years. And I've enjoyed Virtual Mix Rack and all that kind of the older stuff, I guess we might say. Virtual Mix Rack gets some new additions, but the basis of it is kind of set in the older stuff they do. I love it. Analog emulations, they're fantastic. But the kind of newer breed of plugins they've started doing, like MetaTune, Infinity Bass, Scorch Filter, all that kind of stuff, I've not really used them like that much because they kind of seem like a bit of a movement away from what they used to do. It's another story. But MetaPitch I have recently got, and I've started using it in a kind of a way that I don't think it's really intended, but it really works for me. Now, MetaTune, I will say now, is my favorite tuner, vocal tuner. I really enjoy it. I think it's great. MetaPitch, I wasn't entirely convinced. When I saw the videos and stuff on it, I thought it was kind of a one-trick pony and, it does that particular pop sound and it does it well, but I don't really use it for that kind of stuff. I don't really produce that kind of music. Not that often anyway. But I found that by automating it, you can create vocal harmonies. And you can create really good vocal harmonies where you can kind of just step stuff down. So I want to show you this track. This is meant to sound, it's an outro section and it's meant to sound, I don't want to use the term lo-fi because it's not really lo-fi, but it's meant to be like everything kind of drops down and the vocal is almost kind of whispered a little bit, or definitely not sung that strongly. Not performance-wise, but as in it's not like belted. And it's meant to be a little bit of a drop down to earth kind of bit. So just take a listen to how it sounded before, and then we'll bring MetaPitch in, and it just adds so much interest. So I've taken MetaPitch off on both of these. Loads of plugins going on all these. If you haven't tried it already, by the way, Fox Echo Chorus Safari Pedals is wicked. I'm using that a lot on this mix. Take a listen to just the vocal kind of isolated and hear how it sounds.
That it doesn't have to hurt anymore, and we can still find something sweet. There's so much more to live for in between. Sun is rising, I don't even.
Okay, so pretty heavily not auto-tuned, meta-tuned, and it's meant to sound like that. It's meant to be kind of flat, and just one level, sort of like almost like elevator kind of thing. But to counteract that, then added some harmonies in with MetaPitch. So if I bring up my automation lane here, you can see what I'm doing, and let me just bring it back in and you'll kind of work out what I'm doing here. So if I go to the plugin, then you'll see that the pitch as I go along is changing. And what I'm doing there is just creating a harmony line, which is just coinciding with what's going on. So take a listen to it now with the pitch engaged. I've not got it set to like full mix. It's just on 68% mix. So it's just kind of just coming in there a little bit and just harmonizing with the line that's there. And I think it's a really useful tool to add some convincing harmonies. I've not tried it on a vocal that's like the lead yet. I don't know how unobtrusive that might be, but for this kind of thing, it works really well. Take a listen. So this is with the pitch on.
That it doesn't have to hurt anymore, and we can still find something sweet. There's so much more to live for in between.
It just works nicely, and just being able to pitch this up and down, all I'm doing here is in Logic grabbing my marquee tool and drawing a line over a couple of words and then bringing that down. So if we bring that down to, I don't know, the octave above, for example, then it will sound like this.
That it doesn't have to hurt anymore.
So it just does the octave above, so 12 semitones. 7 is, I think, a perfect fifth above, or we could go to 5. See how that sounds.
That it doesn't have to hurt anymore, and we can still find something sweet.
Sounds kind of cool. And then when we get into the later section, where we've got another vocal that kind of comes in, I'm also doing the same thing to that. I've also got MetaPitch on that, and it's also doing like a little harmony. So let's take a listen to both of them together, just the vocal, and then we'll hear it in the mix as well, and hear how it's just elevating it slightly, just adding a little area of kind of melodic interest. So I'll take it from kind of halfway through.
There's so much more to live for. In between the sun is rising, I don't even mind.
It just works, and it's meant to have that kind of ethereal sound to it. It's heavily processed, heavily affected. It's meant to be like a drop down section. So take a listen to it in the mix, and we'll maybe listen to the chorus beforehand just so you can hear it when everything's in, and then how it all kind of just closes in on itself a little bit. And having this harmony in there just helps to, although it's meant to be smaller, it makes it so that it's not too small, and it just adds a little melodic interest and makes it so that it's, instead of coming from 100% down to 10%, it's just raising it up a little bit without adding instruments in, just adding a little bit of something.
That it doesn't have to hurt anymore, and we can still find something sweet. There's so much more to live for. In between the sun is rising, I don't even mind anymore. We can still find something sweet. There's so much more to live for. In between the sun is rising.
I kind of like effects that just slip themselves into the mix. I kind of like effects that aren't just completely flat out, this is me, I'm proud. I kind of like things that just slot in there, and once you have a load of those that are in there at the same time, they all kind of add to make something greater. And I think with a mix, subtlety is often the key, especially with a section like this where it has to come down. You have to add something to make it sound a little bit interesting, but the whole point is that it's coming down. So you don't want to add anything too massive. You don't want to add like a big synth line or crashes, anything too big, 'cause it's meant to come down. So just adding something like that on top and automating those parameters, to me, is really useful. I'd love to hear if you're using this in a similar way, because to me, MetaPitch is not, I'm not using it in the way that it's advertised at all. I'm not using it for that kind of real focused pop pitch shifting thing. To me, I don't really have much need for that. But as a harmony kind of thing, we'll call it a harmonizer, that works. And being able to automate it just that quickly with a marquee tool in Logic, that's really useful for me. So if you're using it in that way, if you're using it in a different way, I'd love to hear from you. Let us know in the comments, and maybe you can teach me a thing or two. Maybe we can see, is this useful for other stuff? Just pop, just harmonies? I don't know. I'm interested to hear it on like bass lines or a synth or a guitar maybe. That could be a bit of fun. Either way, thanks for checking it out, and I'll see you again soon. Take care.